an and 못. These are words that you can add directly in front of a Korean verb and change it into a negative. These often get confused, especially an. First of all, let's talk about how these can be used. You can take a pure Korean verb and you can attach an directly in front of it, and now you have a negative version of that pure Korean verb. So what is a pure Korean verb? Well, for a really quick explanation, in Korean, over 60% of the vocabulary actually originally comes from China, and those are called Sino-Korean verbs. Now, Sino-Korean verbs will end with hada, but that's not to say every verb ending in hada is Sino-Korean. And in fact, hada by itself is a pure Korean verb. If you have a verb that's not Sino-Korean, then you can use an before it. One more trick is that if you see any verb that has two syllables, for example, hada or 살다, to live, 가다, to go, or anything like that, you can know automatically this is a pure Korean verb and you can use an directly before it. So while you can use an directly before hada to make an hada, you cannot use an before a longer verb that has hada in it that's not pure Korean. There are a lot of pure Korean verbs that have hada in them that cannot be separated, that aren't from Chinese, that you can use an in front of them. But instead of going into that for this lesson, which would make this really long, I'm just gonna keep it right here and I'll do that in a future lesson. So you can put an before a verb or 못 before a verb in the same way, as long as it's pure Korean. But there's a big difference between saying an hada and saying 못 hada. An means that you do not do something, and that is intentional. So if you wanted to say that you can't speak English, you would not use this, an. Instead, you would want to use 못. 못 means that you simply cannot do something, not by your choice, but by your inability to do that action. So the word 못하다 would mean that you are completely unable to do something, and 안하다 means that you might or might not be able to, but are simply intentionally or choosing to not do that. So for example, we can get this sentence. 학교에 가요. I go to school. Now we could either add an in here, or we can add 못 in here. If you were to say 학교에 안 가요, that means I am not going to go to school. I totally can go to school. Maybe I don't feel good. Maybe I just don't want to. I'm not going. However, if you were to say 학교에 못 가요, that means there's a reason why you can't. You actually are incapable of going to school. If you were to say 학교에 못 가요, your teacher would then ask, oh, what's the reason? And then you could explain how you got cancer and you got a bullet lodged in your brain and that you're gonna die in a week and you just met your true love, whatever. So that's the difference between 못, which means you actually cannot do something, and an, which means you might or might not be able to do something, but simply are choosing not to do it. And the other example that I was giving, 영어를 안 해요, means I might speak English, but I'm not going to. So you would not want to say that you don't speak English with an. Instead, you'd want to use 못 because you're incapable of speaking English. So thanks for watching. If you have your own questions for me, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will see you guys in another episode of Korean FAQ. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.